Oh, no.
What is it?
It's the jerk. My husband.
My uncle.
Your what?
Oh, God, that makes you...
Auntie Vera?
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. What's my mother gonna say? I've disgraced my whole family.
Oh, the hell you did.
Not funny, okay? This is not a funny moment in my life.
Oh, relax. Brantley, who's gonna find out?
Mom!
He's gonna find out. That's who's gonna find out.
Don't worry, he won't fire you.
Oh, there's no way I'm gonna get a raise out of this.
Vera, what's the company car doing in the driveway?
It broke down, darling. The driver had to take the train back to town.
No, he didn't, darling. He's in here having trouble with his fly. Get back! Do you ever stop?
No.
How am I gonna get home now, huh? You wanna tell me that?
Maybe we'll just have to keep you here and adopt you.
You're right, Vera. Ah! Please, Lord, get me out of this. I'll go all over the world telling people not to screw the boss's wife.
What are you doing in here?
Feeling romantic?
Oh. What's for dinner?
It's Two Dads, One Movie. It's the podcast where two middle-aged dads sit around and shoot the shit about the movies of the 80s and 90s. Here are your hosts, Steve Paulo and Nick Brianna. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Two Dads, One Movie. I'm Steve.
And I'm Nick.
And today we're talking about the 1987 Michael J. Fox starring romantic comedy, The Secret of My Success. Also, by the way, the name of a fantastic Night Ranger song that is featured prominently in the film.
Beautiful, beautiful. Did they work together on it, or did one predate the other?
I believe Night Ranger was contracted to write the title song for this movie, and then because they did a few movie soundtrack songs in the 80s, and then this ended up on their album that came out the same year. So they had an album that came out in 87. This was the big hit single off of it, but it was intentional and written for the movie. So
excellent. Well, a hell of a song.
Yeah. So Nick, this was your pick for us.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about your history with The Secret of My Success and why you picked it for us.
Yeah. So I think I'd only seen this a couple times, and not in 20 years. But I definitely remember enjoying this. Probably late high school, just when these kind of movies really hit, especially where it's this guy like making his way to the top and he's, screwing the evil boss's wife and like all this stuff that you get a kick out of at the time. And there's some good gags in it that I feel like really held up. So yeah, I wasn't like crazy familiar with it, but I just remember it being fun. And I feel like, hey, this is a great one to talk to Steve about.
Yeah, absolutely. And for my part, I realized in watching this movie and really enjoying it and kind of writing notes about what I liked and what I didn't and what kind of worked and what didn't work for me as much this time around. And we'll get into the details on it, but it's like, I think this is one of those movies that, and we all have them, I love this movie maybe more than it deserves.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to live with that.
Yeah.
Because we all have those, I don't want to call them guilty pleasures because that's dumb. Like there's nothing guilty about it. It's just like, I can recognize that like this and, like Summer Rental and maybe UHF are like, I love those movies. And the average person walking around, even somebody our age, right, is maybe kind of like what? I barely remember that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're part of like the 45% rather than part of the 85% for a lot of these movies.
That's fair. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's good though. I mean, and we all have movies like that. I know I've definitely brought a few to the pod in the past. So this is something, did you see this around when it came out then?
I probably saw this for the first time, not like in the theater because it was 87, it was PG-13, and it would have been kind of over my head anyway, but probably like 11 or 12, probably around like middle school would have been the first time I saw this, probably an edited version on, TBS or USA or something like that.
Yeah.
And then later seeing, getting a copy of whatever on VHS. But yeah, this was one that, I loved Michael J. Fox. I loved Back to the Future. And like, I watched Family Ties. Like I already I love this guy. So pretty much anything he was in, I wanted to see. I I feel like this is, I don't know if the timing is exactly right. I haven't looked at it, but this feels very much in his also like the Doc Hollywood era of his career.
Yes.
So I think it was like, that was around this time, and I loved that movie as well. So it's like, you know, he had this niche of like a little bit raunchy PG-13 romantic comedies, you know, in the middle of his career there, or not the middle of, but, you know, past the sort of very beginning, the Back to the Future stuff. And,
right.
And so, you know, to me, this was just, it was kind of like being a Michael J. Fox fan led me to this movie.
Yeah.
At a fairly young age. And I think that it is I don't know if this is even a well accepted term, but it's a hard PG-13. Like I do feel like it's a well-earned.
100% agree. I mean, it's on the cusp.
Exactly.
It's a Jim Rice of a PG-13. You know, it's right teetering on the R.
If this movie came out in 83 before the PG-13 rating had been invented, it probably would have been an R. This wouldn't have been one I don't think that would have skated by on a PG. I think this would have probably earned the R. I don't know, maybe not. Like we'll get into it. But anyway, so this is definitely one I saw, you know, probably again, frankly, at too young an age to really appreciate the movie and all the references and different things in it. But it's one I've always loved. So, all right, well, let's dive into the facts.
Yeah, let's hear some facts about
success.
this.
Cool. So The Secret of My Success does have a PG-13 rating. It came out on April 10th, 1987 with a running time of 101 minutes. It was directed by Herbert Ross, written by Jim Cash, Jack Epps Jr., and A.J. Carruthers, starring Michael J. Fox and Helen Slater. The scores, Rotten Tomatoes. The critics didn't like this movie. It got a 46% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So definitely, I didn't, you know, I think maybe what we should start doing is, especially for these lower ones, I should probably pull some quotes out to see what people, you know, just didn't like about it. Maybe we'll do that for the next time we have one of these rotten movies. IMDb rating of 6.5, which is not great. It's fine. It's not bad, but it's certainly not praised there.
It skews high on IMDb because if you bother to go on and write a review, generally you're on the positive side.
You either really like it or like you really hate it and you're trying to like kill it. And
you want to like
movie,
pile on Troll 2 or whatever.
No, but nobody hates this movie. I can't imagine, right? It's just not that. You're probably ambivalent towards it or you enjoy it. So it did win an award at the 1988 BMI Film Music Awards. David Foster, the composer, won Best Movie Score for this movie, which is interesting.
Well done.
Yeah, there's a lot of music in the movie, but so much of it is pop music. So it's interesting.
Yeah. So I guess how do they determine, like, is he responsible for placing those pop songs in the movie as part of his composition? Do they take that into consideration?
They might, and I think it might just be. I mean, there obviously are other instrumental scores of parts. I think, you know, just we'll get into it, but like when Christie's sipping at the water fountain and you know, Brantley sees her for the first time, like there's definitely just this very tinkling piano kind of very not whimsical, kind of ethereal music. And so I think that was his contribution and other things like that.
Nice.
Okay. On a $12 million budget, which is like, did half that go to Fox? Like,
seriously,
where did 12 million?
Yeah.
It doesn't show up on the screen. So, but on a $12 million, but maybe he was just renting that house. Right.
Yeah.
It earned $111 million at the box office, which has to be like, it's just Michael J. Fox could do no wrong in the mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
Right?
It almost seems like, whatever you put him in at this point, because he was coming off, was it Teen Wolf and Back to the Future at that time? Teen Wolf and Back to
the Future, and Back to the Future 2 would come out like the year after. So, I mean, like seriously, it was.
And then I don't know when Family Ties was running.
That was more like 80 to like 85 or 86.
Okay,
like
so that predated the film career.
I think it predated this. Oh, yeah, definitely predated the film career, but then overlapped with the start of the film career. But then I don't think it lasted much past that. So by this time, he was probably, that show was wrapped, I think.
Yeah.
But, you know, so this guy was America's
what
darling,
a great, on something that, you know, like we just said, was getting not good reviews before it came out.
Yeah. So 9.25 times its budget was the box office take, which is
one of our best.
One of the highest ones, right up there with Coming to America. And it's, obviously a huge hit in that sense. So those are the facts on The Secret of My Success. Let's dive in. You want to start, Nick?
Yeah. So The Secret of My Success, we are introduced kind of through a montage type thing. You know, it's really like the most 80s that's ever going to hit you at once. Like you have to really be prepared. And if you're not ready for this, make sure you're wearing your best like 80s proof goggles and like a lead 80s proof vest, because this is going to smack you in the face.
You need those like Venetian blind sunglasses things.
For sure. Exactly. And I was watching this with my wife and my daughter immediately commented on the theme song at the beginning. She was like, is this the same as the St. Elmo's Fire song? song because she has all these like 80s songs in her head. So I thought that was funny.
I love Secret of My Success as a song, but St. Elmo's Fire is a fire song.
Way better
so
song.
Good.
Yeah. So yeah, we're kind of getting like flashes between Brantley Foster, our star, Michael J. Fox. Great name.
No, not really.
I mean, not a name of a guy you would want to hang out with in real life, but for a fictional character, I think it's pretty good. So yeah, it's kind of flashing between him like leaving the farm in Kansas,
right?
Like pitchforking hay and being like, "Yo, Ma, I want to be a stockbroker," or whatever he's saying.
He wants to be,
yeah, so a lot of back and forth, like good motivational 80s, like believe in yourself, Reagan kind of stuff. I think he still has a little Alex P. Keaton in him a bit in this film, although, he leans a little bit differently, but he definitely has that kind of ambition when he leaves for New York.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Alex P. Keaton maybe wouldn't have. The Brantley Foster displays so much sort of like empathy for fellow people and very like, I don't know that Keaton would have been on that tip necessarily. I think he was a little too young Republican. But obviously, like Foster's goal here, Brantley's goal is making money. That's what he wants to do. He wants to go to New York City. He's gone to college. They don't go into a lot of details about his college time. So I want to stop for a second and just chat about that. So we see him. So first of all, he's from Kansas. We know that his parents paid for his college because he makes a comment about, "Hey, Mom, all those years of college will pay off." Like, he's basically saying like, "I'm going to make it worth it for you." He wears at one point a Kansas State shirt at one point in the movie. So we have to assume that's where he went to school, is Kansas State, which is not a bad college, but it's certainly not Harvard, Stanford, Baylor, like whatever. Like it's not,
apologies to Michael Bishop.
But do we think he's got an MBA? Like, did he do that much school? Because he's like 24, and I can't imagine that he hung out on the farm for 2 to 3 years after graduating with a bachelor's degree right before going to New York. So is he just post business school? Is that what we're supposed to believe?
I mean, like as we get into it later and we see like how knowledgeable it is, it seems like it's not a 4-year degree worth of knowledge. But also, I mean, let's see an MBA do that as well. Everyone would be like, "Oh no, shut the hell up!"
It's an absolute fantasy.
But that's interesting. They don't really get into a whole lot of detail because we're still in the 80s, in the era where like college boy was a good insult in a lot of parts of the country. So it was like, it doesn't really matter. We talk about advanced degrees, we're going to lose a lot of our audience. We want to make 9 times our budget on this thing.
And it is definitely a good insult, especially in the mailroom at Pemrose Corporation, as it turns out.
The best.
But yeah, I just want to say this is this opening sequence. It's great. And I think it's really efficient. It gives us a lot of backstory really quickly. It obviously sets the scene that he's arrived in New York in the present day. But the movie does this a lot where it sort of gives us these little, they're almost like flashbacks, but they're not really posited like flashbacks. They just, the timeline jumps around. Anytime there is a pop song or rock song playing in the background, well, I say in the background, but really in the foreground of the audio, if there is any dialogue, you can't be sure that you're seeing it happen in real time. Like it's very often like jumping around a little bit. And so I don't know if we can call them montages or interludes or whatever, but there are like at least 5 or 6 of them throughout the movie. And it starts with this one. I believe Cindy Crawford makes a very brief appearance. In the very
I'm glad
beginning.
you brought that up because I did spot that one. Yeah, it's funny. And this is where sometimes the things in this movie are realistic. Sometimes they're not. If you're a short, very out of place guy in the big city, the girls love that. This is all very accurate that he's being fawned over by these like 5'11" models.
Right, exactly. What is he, about like 5'5"? Like and then Brantley, right? He's coming to town. He arrives on a bus, and we've got all these little scenes of New York. It's like dirty New York. It's 80s New York, right? It is pre-Giuliani. I made a joke, but like literally it's like he hasn't cleaned up Times Square yet, blah, blah, blah. So there's all this going on. And then he gets to his apartment, right? And do we have any idea why his apartment is literally filled with garbage? Like, why isn't it just empty?
Good comedic effect, but I have no idea. You feel like it would be empty, but it's in a similar building to the one that Akeem stayed at in Coming to America, just where they're like, look, it stays however the last person left it, and that's none of my business. Here's the key. But it was really funny, all the junk that was in there.
And then I guess he's in Manhattan because they don't make a point of telling us he's anywhere else.
Right.
And he doesn't seem to be like having to travel far to get to work. And like that. So somewhere in maybe downtown.
It's a very montageable mess to clean. So it's important to show that.
Which they don't even really bother. They just show the mess, and then later on, it's just better. It's just better later. So, so Brantley, he's come to New York City.
Yep.
And he's got a job lined up. He's
ready to roll.
He's been responsible and good, and he's got a job. So what happens when he shows up for the first day of work?
The company is being shut down.
Of course.
It's like the boxes are being carried out. Everything's going there and stuff.
I'm gonna have to put my finger in my mouth for a second to sound like the boss. Hostile takeover is what he says with a huge cigar in his mouth. But yeah, hostile takeover. They 90-something%, right, of the people in the building are out on the street. You are part of that group. So he is already SOL.
And I don't know if this is when he's interviewing. I don't know if he interviews right away, but he's basically says, then why did I go to college?
Oh, yeah.
And the guy's like, well, you had fun, didn't you?
Yes. That's the first interview that he does to try to find another job. I love that actor, by the way. Uncredited appearance, but that is Sheriff Farley from My Cousin Vinny, that actor.
Okay.
Which is a fantastic role.
I know the guy you're talking about. Yeah. He was certainly familiar.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so he goes there, he interviews the guy, basically says like, hey, if you joined our training program out of high school, you'd be qualified for the job you're applying for now, but you have no experience. You just have college experience, which is like, yeah, that sucks, man. There's not much you can do. Why'd I go to school? Hey, you had fun. Whatever. So,
when he's like, well, our concern is that you're just going to use us for the experience and then use that to get a better job. But we can't. It was a very funny exchange, I think.
I'm in my industry, I'm a manager of people. I have like 10 people who like report to me. And I work in software, and like training people and helping them grow and making them better and having them go off to do other things is in my industry universally seen as a positive. Right. Because the entire industry gets smarter and better, and the people are, but whatever. And frankly, that probably drives employment costs to the employer down because more people can do the jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So there's just no reason why they should be so against the idea of bringing him into training, but I digress.
Brantley, he gets right on it. I mean, he kind of has to because he already has an apartment to pay for and everything. But he doesn't really sulk. He's like immediately trying to find a new job.
He's a go-getter.
There's a very funny scene that has a little like surrealism to it where he's on the payphone kind of talking to his parents back home. And he's telling, oh, no, New York's great. Oh, my apartment's beautiful. The job's wonderful. No crime. I don't think there's a lot of crime. And in the meantime, these guys go into a liquor store and rob it, which leads to this like crazy police shootout.
Yeah, like right where he is. Like,
it's unbelievable. And he's just there in the phone booth as these shots are going and glass is breaking and everything.
Yeah, he's telling his mom's like, oh, it's so loud. He's like, yeah, the TV broke. It's Miami Vice. Yeah. And then he like reacts. He goes like, she goes, what's wrong? Oh, they just totaled a Ferrari. Like as if he would react that strongly. Two things I love about this scene. One is when the two ne'er-do-wells head into the corner store, there's a guy just chilling on the corner, listening to a boombox, right? And he kind of sees these two looking around as they go in, and he goes, nope, and just turns around and walks away. I'm like, okay, that's a smart New Yorker. There's that piece. And then also these two guys, like the cops show up. First of all, the cops are instantly, which has probably never, ever happened in New York City, but they're there instantly, 2 or 3 of them. And the guys take a hostage. These robbers actually take the woman or somebody who is, from the sort, a hostage. And they're right up against the payphone that Brantley is near. And the cops and the guys start shooting at each other. And it looks like either one of the guys gets shot in the head, one of the robbers, or the cop shoots past him, but it's enough to make him drop his gun and fall to the ground. It was very strange because nobody got shot clearly. Yeah. Like at the end, they're still cuffing everybody and like whatever. But I'm like, why did that work? Like, why didn't he just shoot back?
They had a couple ideas. They just shot them both and left them both in.
There you go. It's that New York in the 80s, man. It's good, crazy shit.
So Brantley's obviously he's had a bummer of a first couple days,
weeks,
right?
Who knows?
And there's sad music playing, and he's got his New York slice back in his apartment. Right. So we get the slice in there.
Yeah.
So I think this is when he kind of realizes that there is potentially someone he could reach out to.
Yeah. So we get another little flashback to Kansas and talking to his parents, and his mom says, "Here, take this. It's Uncle Howard's number in New York." And he goes, "I got an uncle in New York." And she goes, "Well, my cousin married his nephew's sister," or something. Like it was some weird thing, so but kin is kin, right?
Yeah.
And from the sounds of it, it's something like he's a second cousin at least once or twice removed, potentially. Like, I mean, because there's different generations in both ways that are off, and it sounds like Howard is part of that family. It's very hard to understand, but that's kind of the point. Like, I don't think they really want you.
One of those like very distant relations where you technically would say uncle or cousin.
Exactly. And I think, again, another kind of city mouse, country mouse kind of thing, right? Where it's like in more rural communities where you are both likely to be nearby to family that distant from you genealogically. But it matters more versus being in a city where you're way more siloed and way more solo.
Yeah.
You know, this is a comparison of like the world he's coming from and the world he's going to, and the world he's coming from. His mom is like, this is family.
It's totally appropriate. Yeah. Like that's what
normal.
we do is you find a distant relation, they hook you up with a job.
Exactly. Totally normal, totally nothing weird about it. And then of course, when he actually does meet his uncle, you know, he's a little nonplussed at his presence because it's like, all right, yeah, I guess technically we're related.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little fun, interesting, distance there. So he decides, yeah, if I've got Uncle Howard's number, I'm going to go check it out. So he arrives at Pemrose Corporation. You know, it's one of these skyscrapers, I guess, that the entire building is all working at the company.
Seems like it, right?
Whew, he says something, Howard does about 30,000 employees in the building alone. And they talk about numerous different, you know, offices in other cities at different points in the movie. And they talk about, he says something like they make everything from dog food to guided missile systems. So it's like, this is like a Procter and Gamble kind of thing, I guess. Or
it's like
like
Globochem International.
Yeah, exactly. So he goes to visit Uncle Howard.
Yeah. And he goes to visit Uncle Howard. A couple funny things here. There's the usual, you know, trying to get through the secretary.
Right.
Hey, I'm here.
Gatekeeper.
What's your business with him and all that? And he doesn't have a business card or anything. He walks over to the copy machine and sticks his face on it. Makes like an excellent quality copy of his face.
Very high quality.
You know, kind of signs his name and phone number to it and gives it to her. Says, this is my card. He's able to get in and meet though with Uncle Howard, with Mr. Prescott, right after he was just seen like chewing out the entire executive team.
That's right. Yeah. The entire like executive leadership team just got their butts chewed.
Yeah.
And I love it too because, what does he say? He says something like, he was a warm guy or so. Oh, no, he asks, is that Uncle Howard? And she kind of nods at him.
Yeah.
He says the warm guy thing later. But yeah, like, so he goes in to meet Howard and I love a good line. He says, you know, I know you told your secretary to get me out of here in 5 minutes. And Prescott stops and goes, 2.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it. Also was like, dude, Brantley's tie is way too short. He has not tied his tie right at all. It looks very strange. Like he looks out of place in so many ways.
Yeah, I can't tell with some of that stuff. Like, is he supposed to look like a bumpkin, or is that the coolest way to wear your tie in 1987?
I can't imagine that revealing 3 of your shirt buttons below the tie and above your waist was like the style, but maybe
I don't know. We got to get his tie length and Trump's tie length and split the difference, and that's the correct tie.
There you
length.
go. That would hit the buckle right there. Yeah. So, so he meets with Howard Prescott, who he calls Uncle Howard and is told, here, I'm Mr. Prescott.
Right.
Or Prescott, I think is how he puts it. But basically he's just like, hey, like, would you give me a chance? You know, like imagine back to when you were my age and you wanted that first job, you needed it, but everybody told you didn't have any experience. It's a reasonably good sell. You know, I mean, he really does sell.
He does like the traditional I believe in myself speech, you know.
The kind of thing that has always worked for white men.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. Okay. So
and then going back, he will credit his entire career to that speech that he gave, if ignoring the fact that he was giving it to his uncle, who then gave him a job.
Exactly. He was literally trying to sell his uncle on the nepotism he needed to get his foot in the door.
I started off in an apartment full of junk. We offered to clean that out. You said you need it for your origin story.
Exactly. So he is given a job in the mailroom. So he has to head down to the mailroom. But apparently before he gets to the mailroom, he's stopping in the lobby. I guess the mailroom's in the basement or something, right? So he stops in the lobby and he goes to, you know, this is one of those things that makes this movie 100% an 80s movie, is that there is a water fountain that people actually use just with their mouths, not to like fill a bottle or anything like that. So he goes and he sips from the water fountain, and then he's, you know, asked if he could move aside for another person who wants to use the water fountain. It's this, you know, gorgeous blue-eyed blonde. We find out later her name is Christie Wills, and you know he is just absolutely smitten from the moment that he sees her. And then we get another one of these sort of musical interludes kind of at this moment where it's not so much like that it's a pop song or rock song. In fact, if I might even be part of that score that ended up winning an award, but it's like a fantasy moment. It's like a daydream, right? Like nobody else is in the lobby suddenly. She's just wandering through the rotating door a few times looking at him, and he's looking at her. And but it's like, we also get the sense that she definitely later on that she has definitely never seen him. Right. You know what I mean? So it's just, it's very much like, I don't know, it reminds me a little bit of that HBO show Dream On, where the guy would always like daydream himself into TV shows or something, like kind of like he just daydreams about this girl the second he sees her, which is an interesting choice. But he sees Christie, he gets smitten, but he has to go report to his new job now, doesn't he?
Yeah. And the Christie, so at this point, my daughter watching this movie, she said, "Who ordered the cheese?" She couldn't deal with this. But it's kind of interesting. I was talking about during the payphone call / robbery shootout was a little bit of an absurd thing that actually happened in his world. And then this is kind of like an absurd thing that was in his head. So it was like not congruent with just the reality of the film, really.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about those revolving doors? Because I love them. And ever since my daughter's been little, I've been so excited to have someone to walk around twice with them. And my wife will not go in one for any reason. She always goes around. And I feel like, why are you depriving yourself of some of the best joy that's just out there?
I feel like I have the exact same dynamic in my family. My kids love them. I'll go through them with them. Although I would be honest, I could take it or leave it. But yeah, I think my wife generally doesn't go through the revolving door. Yeah, like the kids do love it though. There's a restaurant in Dublin that has a revolving door at its front. And anytime we go there, the kids want to go a couple times. And it's always like, for me, I'm always like, I got to look around and make sure nobody else is actually trying to use the damn door and they're just in the way. But yeah, no, they're fun. They're for sure fun.
It's a good, absolutely free treat that you can give your kid. You could probably be like, "Hey, if you're good, you can go through the door 3 times when we leave this place."
My kids are a little old for it now, but we used to go to the mall and just be like, "Hey, if you're good, and like we can get this thing we got to buy, whatever. I'll let you go up and down the escalator a couple times." That was all it took.
Oh man, simplicity.
Days, yeah. So we meet the boss of the mailroom. Is it Radigan? Is that his name? I can't remember now.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
The guy who has like the kind of navy,
ball cap.
Yes. Who's like, "I'm going to be on your ass." He's very determined.
College puke.
Yeah. Oh, you think you're better than us with your college and your college time? They don't really have a lot of like supporting facts for why they don't like him.
No, they pretty much, that guy just doesn't like him because he got put there and he didn't hire. I don't know if he normally hires his mailroom people or not, maybe. And so it's sort of like there was an end around because he came from up on high, or was it just just the college thing? And it's like in the mailroom, especially in the late 80s, I'm sure, nowadays, I'm sure if there still are mailrooms, I don't even know if there really are mailrooms in offices like that, but if they are, they might well be populated with college grads just based on the reality of the day. But back in the 80s, certainly not if you had gone to college. And it's, again, I'm betting Foster has postgraduate degree, but you wouldn't be working in the mailroom. So it's like weird. And it's like, and so his thought is
he's not one of us.
Yeah, he's not one of us. Is this somebody I'm going to have to like ride because he doesn't want to do a hard day's work? You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And also just, I think the standard sort of jealousy bullshit of like, you think you're better than me, kind of thing.
A very 80s only mentality of nobody wants to work ananymore. We never heard that again.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I wish that I wrote this guy's name down. I might have later. His buddy, like
Melrose,
the Styles of this movie, right?
Exactly.
And I love this character. This guy, this is one of the reasons that I remember this movie being so good is his, the way he dresses, like the cool guy who has to like add a little extra cool guy to everything he does.
Yeah. And the tiniest ponytail ever.
Oh my God. The littlest ponytail. But man, his disdain for suits is, as somebody who in my family and a lot of friends of mine are people that wear suits to work. Like it's kind of tough to hear this, you know? Like, I don't want to hear this slur repeated over and over. He does not want to make any friends with the people he's delivering mail to.
No consorting. Nix. No, not with the suits.
Yeah. So he's kind of being taken around and shown the ropes by his buddy,
Melrose,
which is an enjoyable scene. I think, telling him like, "Oh yeah, don't do this and don't talk to this. Keep your head down and don't talk to the suits." And beautiful.
We get a line. He's like, "Wait a minute." Foster says to Melrose, "Wait a minute. I'm a human being. He's a human being. I can't say hi to him." He goes, "He's not a human being. He's a suit." It's like, yo, all right. I get it though, man. Class solidarity.
Yeah, but, I'm with the mailroom, but
I've never worn a suit to work in my life. So, but anyway. Then we get a little foreshadowing in this sequence too, because we see a guy has just been shit canned. He's been fired. And Melrose even says like, "Hey, mailroom learned about this a week ago. This guy just found out today," and so, this is an interesting thing. It sounds like the envelopes that go in and out of the mailroom are not sealed.
Yes.
Which is interesting. But yeah, so, so there's that. So we see that this guy's getting canned, and he says, "Oh, well, you think his job's available?" He's like, "No, it's like downsizing. It's like they dissolved the position, you know." So that gets put into Foster's head, into Brantley's head, and he can, remember that for later. By the way, real quick, the name Brantley Foster, like it's hard, and he ends up taking the name Carlton Whitfield because of a story his father told him about cousin Whitfield's son Carlton. Went to New York, came back with the nose in his, the ring in his nose and his head, half his head shaved or whatever it was. So that's where he gets the name from.
Yeah.
But Brantley, Carlton, Whitfield, Foster. I mean, is this a Big Four accounting firm? Like
Yeah.
what? I mean, it's the most ridiculous set of, none of them are first names. There's not a first name in the group.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically, obviously Carlton, whatever, but it's like they all sound like last names. It's a very strange thing. And it's hard for me to I honestly sort of got it. I mean, I love this movie, but I find it harder to identify with characters with such strange names sometimes. Like, couldn't the dude's name just be like Dave? Could he have been Dave Foster? Like, why not?
Or he
Why
could
does it
have,
be Brantley?
he could have been like B. William Whitfield and gone by Bill or whatever.
Sure, something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that, that name is kind of perfectly constructed for success in the 80s. If you're trying to be like among the Hamptons elite, I think that's a hell of a name to have.
When your uncle is the CEO of a major corporation and can get you a job, it might as well be named Brantley.
Exactly. It doesn't hurt. Throw a little Brantley on it. Brantley is he's looking into, when Melrose is explaining to him as the mail's going down, he's like, okay, the yellow envelopes come from outside and the white envelopes is them talking to each other.
Yep.
And then Brantley just starts pulling it out and reading it and immediately is like, well, they got 3 people doing the same job here. I mean, there's so much redundancy. I'd forgotten the plot of the movie. Like, from what he said at the beginning, I'm like, is he trying to do layoffs? Like, is this what happens with this company? But Brantley is just appalled by the little memo that he's read. So we see that he's got an analytical brain, man. Nothing gets by this guy.
Yeah. And so he decides, he heads down to the research center, like the library, whatever they have there. And it's like, hey, we're getting a lot of requests for research here for, in the mailroom, quarterly reports, stockholder reports, like whatever. And she goes, and the woman he's talking to is like, are you serious? You can have anything you want. Like, who gives a shit kind of thing. So he grabs a bunch of stuff and we start his research. He's doing a lot of stuff at his apartment. He's figuring out, he's reading through things, whatever. And this is another interlude as we sort of break into Act 2, right? We've set the stage. This is basically near the end of Act 1, where now Brantley's got a mission, right? He's got a purpose. And of course,
on the financials real quick.
Oh yeah.
It's funny because you see scenes like this sometimes where a person goes into an overwhelmed file room or whatever, and they ask for something. And the mentality of the person there isn't really, well, my job is to protect these confidential records, so I shouldn't really let anything go. It always seems like they're like, oh man, we have plenty of files. Please take some.
Yes, exactly.
Obviously, I have too many files here, so please take some of these files away.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't
Sorry,
even know if
I
it's
just had to interject as a file keeper.
I don't even know if these would necessarily be secret, right? If it is quarterly reports, stock shareholder reports, or they're a public company.
Well, the published report though is probably only 20 pages. The underlying data is what he's digging at.
There you go.
So a little inside baseball with the auditing and financial report preparation world.
Yeah, but I
wanted to cut that.
I wanted to mention when Brantley starts his research, we get another sort of montage of the musical interlude. One of the best songs probably on the soundtrack, which is "The Price of Love" by The Who's Roger Daltrey. Great 80s ballad, you know what I mean? Just very, very classic. And of course, Daltrey is a great singer, so it works. But yeah, so another one of our, this is already the second of second or third even of 6 of these at this point.
Yeah.
So,
And so he's kind of becoming he is a financial genius who finally has access to the data, but he's still a lowly, gopher mailroom guy, whatever we tell you got to do. And, his uncle, Howard's wife, needs a ride out to Litchfield, I think, which is their fancy, I don't know if that's a real place, but it's like a Hamptons type, one of those fancy rich person getaway places.
Yeah, for sure.
And so now Brantley's the driver there.
Yeah, so he picks this woman up, and I don't think at this point, I think initially we don't know who she is. She's just an executive's wife, is kind of all said, I think, at the beginning. When, an executive's wife wants a ride to Litchfield, and he says, hey, how do I get there? I follow the smell of money. Which is okay, definitely bad directions, pal. So he gets in, and she's, immediately kind of complaining, and she's put the car in drive. drive, hit the gas and go. Like, you know, any idiot can do that, even my husband. And he's like, okay. But he like, because he's a nice guy, he sort of like, you know, engages with her like, hey, how's it going? Seems like you're having a bad day. She complains. And I do love this moment where it was like, I don't think there's a single F-bomb in this movie, but they clearly intended there to be one.
Yes. We both noticed that.
You see Vera she's in the rearview mirror. There are like at least three things I can think of where a conversation occurs between two people, one of whom we see and one of whom we see in a mirror. And this happens a fair amount of times. And this is the first one. So Vera's talking. We can see her in the rear view mirror that Brantley has for the car, for the limo. And we just see the back of his head as he sort of turns a little bit to talk to her. And she says, basically, my husband is screwing someone at the office is what we clearly hear. But you see her mouth in the mirror clearly say fucking. Is fucking somebody at the office. And so that was obviously an ADR decision at some point after filming to say, let's go ahead and take that out. I don't know if they were being threatened with an R and thought that would hurt, which it probably really would have hurt.
They were close.
Movie,
I mean, there's a lot of things that really could push this movie to an R.
Yeah.
So that editing out that F word got us like a little crescent areola later in the film.
For a tiny bit. Yeah. But so basically, you know, he says really nice things to her and is like, oh, and the thing that kind of sells her, because she's like talking to someone on the phone and makes a funny remark and he chuckles. And then she's like, hey, do you know my husband? And he's like, oh, I can't hear you. But later he's like, you know, you're crazy. Like, you're beautiful. I just hope that when I'm your husband's age, I've got someone as beautiful as you to wake up next to. Right. And that's just like, so now she's into it. She's being flattered. She loves it. She's putting on the lipstick, taking off the shoes.
And we get the bow bow. Oh yeah. Song playing. Yeah,
I believe the song is called Beautiful or So Beautiful by Yellow. I'm not 100% sure actually, but yeah. One of two uses of the song.
Yes.
in this movie. But yeah, so she is, and there's all kinds of little.
There's like the car antenna goes up, and like when he's like really smitten by whatever she's doing back there, he's like, oh, and the windshield washer fluid goes up.
Yeah, a lot of really unsubtle sort of hints at things, and then like she locks the door and he unlocks it, which is interesting because they're driving. And he tries to raise the divider between them. She lowers it again. You know, they're sort of wrestling in this sense. They arrive at her home, this gorgeous, beautiful country estate. Amazing. You know, really, really enormous and beautiful. They pull up to it, you know, he helps her out. She hands him all her bags, bring those in. And then they go out to the back and she makes a comment about, I hate the country. Nobody can live around all these trees. And he goes, yeah, this seems like a really terrible place to be. I hate the trees. They suck up all the oxygen. He goes, oh no, actually they create oxygen. She's just like, I can't tell if she's pissed or just sort of like finds him interesting in that way, but like she almost seems like upset that he corrected her.
Yeah. Or like, wait, no subordinate has ever spoken to me that way before.
You're the help, kid. Like, what are you doing? Yeah.
But she offers him a drink and is flirting with him and then invites him to swim in the pool, which I think he's kind of like, well, I got to get back, but also I got to do what you asked me to do. And also it seems like it'll be fun. I do love when Brantley goes into the swimming pool, he does a flip to get in the pool. Yeah. And I was thinking like, this show off. And then she does like the most amazing, like Olympic level dive.
10 out of 10, pool. No splash, perfect dive.
It was like the dive from Coneheads. I don't know if we remember the zero splash dive from the Academy Award winning film Coneheads. But yeah, like, really good.
Real quick, like, you know, like I said, I think the first time I saw this, I was like 11 or 12, but like, you know, I watched it several times throughout like my teenage years or whatever. And I got to be honest, Vera did it for me. Like even as a teenager,
she's great.
She's gorgeous. I always thought she was more beautiful than Christie. Like I definitely was like, man, Brantley, you should just like, I don't care if she's this distant relative married in twice or whatever. Like, screw it, man. Like that's the one to be with. Yeah. You know, obviously that she's more age appropriate. He's more age appropriate with Christie than with Vera, but like she is stunning. And very quickly after they're in the pool together, she basically rips off his swim trunks, which, you know, I think it's unfortunate. You can clearly see the like jock strap he's wearing. Not that I want to see Michael J. Fox's junk. I wish they just cropped the scene better so we didn't see anything from his waist down. You know what I mean? Yeah. It kind of ruins it a little bit, but I also don't need to see his dong. So like, let's maybe just, you know, edit that differently. But yeah, so basically, you know, she attacks him in the pool.
She does. How does it feel as an actor if you're a Michael J. Fox and it seems like most of the sex scenes he's involved in, he's basically being like assaulted by the woman to begin with, you know, like he's never like smoothly like, you know, making it work for himself. He's always like, oh, I don't think this is a good idea.
Well, most films, I don't know for sure if this was the case back then, but I know most films today at least have an intimacy counselor coordinator on set, so that when there is a love scene to be filmed, there's a person there who's like a psychologist of some kind, or sexual therapist or whatever, to like talk to the people who have to do this through like kind of how to do it safely and how to do it comfortably, and like to talk to understand their sort of any issues they might have or hangups or whatever, so that they don't kind of trigger each other. Like there's all kinds of work done to really make that like emotionally safe for the actors. So hopefully that's also what they did back
in the 80s. It was just a boombox that played bow, bow. Oh yeah.
That by the way is the name of the song. It is Oh Yeah by Yellow. But yeah.
So he's getting into it with Vera, and
massive HR violation on her part, by the way. I know she technically isn't employed by the company, but she is a shareholder.
But she should be aware of this stuff. Yeah. Especially since it was like her dad's company or something. Right.
Yep.
And then there's a good like little pillow talk session. And again, Michael J. Fox, who already believed in himself more than anybody in the world.
Right.
Imagine what this did to his ego. It's like when the strong man hits that like hammer bell game and it just blasts through the top. Like this is like Popeye ODing on spinach. And he's giving her this speech about like, no, I don't need Uncle Howard's help. I'm going to make it to the top by myself.
Well, yeah, except that this is the scene where he finds out that Uncle Howard is Vera's
right. He doesn't know that. Yeah, that's
so
right.
She says, hey, I'm going to talk to my husband and get you a leg up or whatever. He makes a funny joke about, I think we did all right ourselves with a leg up, and she is like, no, at work. And he's like, no, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to make it to the top of my own, whatever. And she's, impressed by that. She thinks that's like really kind of noble. They're like, all right, you don't need my help. But that's when they hear like the car pull up and the door close. And she's like, oh, there's the asshole. And he freaks out like, oh my God, your husband's here. Sure enough, peek through the Venetian blinds. Here comes Uncle Howard. And she goes, it's my husband. And he goes, that's my uncle. She goes, that makes you Auntie Vera. I just love that reveal. I think it's hilarious. He freaks the fuck out. I love the line where he says, I'm a disgrace to my whole family. And she goes, the hell you are.
Yeah.
It's a great line. But he basically has to throw his clothes
watching
on.
Howard.
Yeah.
Howard is walking at a very moderate pace across like a 600-yard field.
Far,
And he's like looking and like checking through the blinds every 15 seconds, doing the worst job anyone's ever done to try to get dressed.
Oh my God, ridiculous.
He's like, putting his shirt on backwards and stuff. Vera has another good line. She says, you really know how to sweep a girl back onto her feet.
Yeah, that's right.
So Brantley ends up getting himself away and he's able to run away, and he's chased by the official dog of the 80s, the Doberman Pinscher.
Yes, of course it's a Doberman, but he does not get his ass chewed, bitten, otherwise whatever. He's able to scramble over a trellis to get out of there. I'm still not 100% sure how he gets back to the city though, because Howard asks Vera, like, why is the company car in the driveway? And she goes, oh, it broke down.
Who drove it back?
Yeah, the driver had to, call a cab or something. But I guess he probably gets in it and drives it back. But that's, I don't know why that doesn't raise suspicions later on, but whatever. I'm probably thinking. I'm overthinking
it is one of those like, hey, for the sake of movie magic, we're just going to teleport this guy somewhere because we don't feel like doing this. Yeah. So he's back doing his mailroom job.
Yes.
Right. And he comes across an empty office, which is somebody who is just let go.
Yep.
And I think he had previously poked his head in there and just been like, boy, this is what it's like making it in the big city.
And he just kind of sits down, like puts his feet up on the desk and just kind of, just kind of imagine it for a minute. And the phone rings.
And it's the funniest, like, Italian supplier, whoever this guy is.
This New York guy.
Hey, I'm not going to tell you anything specific, but the way you do business is not the ways we used to do business.
It's pronounced prosciutto. Yeah, so.
I mean, so he's telling him, and then Brantley's like, that's ridiculous. We'll have it there. But, that's what I like to hear. Hey, that's a guy who knows how to do business. You should have a big office or something.
It's pretty crazy because he's like, the guy's like, he's like complaining about transportation of some kind of goods, right? Yeah. And Brantley's like, well, what is this? What is a
dog food or missiles? What are we talking here?
But he asks, well, what is the term he uses? Like a freight car cost something, a stock car or something, right? So that it's like on a train versus like using trucks, and then it's like, he goes, well, you tell them that, we need to service our customers. And if they're not going to help us, we'll find somebody who can. So he basically just threatened the company's vendor relationship with some transportation company. Yeah. And the guy's like, yeah, there you go. That's how you're talking to these people, you know. And also my apologies to anyone listening who's an Italian American. My bad.
No apologies. You've done it to yourselves. You've gotten to bask in the glory of how cool the mafia is. You can get made fun of a little bit.
So Brantley scores this win, I guess, but it basically emboldens him.
Yeah,
right.
He's like,
hey,
I can do this stuff.
I could do this job, and so he basically moves into that office. Because the next time he comes to work, he's got like a attaché with him, briefcase with him, and it's got a suit in it, and he like changes in the elevator going up, and so now he's sort of like pretending to be an executive. I get that it's a big company, but I don't know how this is going to happen, but whatever. He pretends to be an executive, but he's also obviously still working in the mailroom. Yeah. But we did get there was actually a little comment earlier in the movie when Melrose was first showing Brantley the ropes and the route and everything. He says, it takes me half an hour to run this route and deliver these things, but Radigan thinks it takes me 2 hours.
Exactly.
So we kind of already
so we know that there's some like extra time built into his day if he figures it out right.
He's got some wiggle room to do this other stuff, and so he gets on the phone and immediately starts demanding things. He's like, Carlton Whitfield in 4193 or whatever the hell the number is. Like, I need a nameplate, I need a secretary. Like, I got a geranium on my windowsill, but I needed a secretary. All this stuff, and people just. I guess they don't verify that there actually should be someone in that office, or they just send up a secretary from...
Like, sir, you sound awfully white. I'll get right on that.
Exactly right.
At the same time, I did just want to bring up this because as a visual, and I'm sure it's a real thing, but I thought it was pretty cool, is Howard and the executive team are all jogging on this like jogging track that's on the roof of the building that goes around the roof of the building. Yeah. Pretty cool feature, but it's funny that he's like jogging and then all these guys are struggling to keep up with him. All his like sycophants who are like trying to gain his favor. So he was going through his decision making at the time. And I think what they're talking about is being bought out basically, which would lead to, a whole bunch of jobs being lost at the peon level. But these guys would make out like bandits.
Maybe. I mean, that's the thing is that like the sense I get is that nobody in this group of people really owns significant shares in the company because again, like that's Vera. Vera owns a huge portion. Her father started the company. This feels like the kind of thing that like a lot of it's publicly owned, but I don't think that stock units.
It's a Boyd Aviation style situation.
Yeah, I don't think stock units were that popular as compensation in the 80s unless you were very top. And then like Howard's got that weird thing where his wife owns so much of the company, so it's like a little funky, like whether that's community property or whatever, right? But I don't think these executives, they're worried about their jobs. Like if they were to have a hostile takeover, like it would be a problem for them, or they could be.
Right. Like they're the ones who are likely to be kept on though, versus mailroom guys.
Well, yeah, that's accurate, I think. But I think that
we'll go to our studio and we'll get copies of the financials and
but yeah, so basically I do love this line in here. There's a guy who says something about how like his kid's dog like got sick or whatever, and then like he's like basically like he chewed up the reports that he's like, did you say your dog ate your homework, Davis? Is that what you're claiming here? Very funny. But yeah, they're just jogging and trying to like, he wants him to stay in the proper like, and these guys work out all the time. Like there's so many scenes in this movie where like they have like a gym there in the office and the guys are just like on treadmills in sweatsuits and stuff, and it's like, first of all, how long is your work day? Right. Clearly you're at work.
You could have a shorter work day if you just did all this stuff at home.
12 hours at work, I guess, from 7 to 7 or 8 to 8 or something like that. And they're doing all this working out. But, it's clear that Howard is sort of like, he's presented to us as like, everything's got to be perfect, so everybody's got to be in good shape and everybody's got to like look right. And everybody's got to,
very image conscious of exactly. I get that.
He wouldn't like, he's the kind of guy that wouldn't abide having like a fat guy in his executive leadership team, like wouldn't be okay, that kind of thing. And so he's all about these guys working out all the time, which is super weird. But yeah, so it's a little aside. The base of this introduces the name Donald Davenport to us, who comes back later. And then this is, they're basically Davenport has bought 5% of their stock on the open market. And therefore that's sort of like, I guess that's an indication. Like the way they refer to it in this movie a few times, I feel like, did everybody know that this is like the precursor to a hostile takeover is buying 5% of the shares in the company? I didn't know that, but apparently that was well known. So there's a potential takeover of Pemrose in the offing.
Pretty unrealistic that there's a very rich asshole named Donald in New York in the 1980s. That's one part of this movie that I don't really get. Brantley, so he's got like his secretary now, and he's kind of like got his crew who knows what's, I think Melrose knows what's going on, or does he not even know at this
Melrose,
point?
No, at this point, Melrose definitely doesn't know. He finds out later.
He'd start becoming a suit. I mean,
yeah,
that's
no, exactly. But there is a point later where Melrose figures it out. But for now, it's basically Brantley keeps us disappearing from the mailroom and showing back up. We see him changing the elevator a lot. He always hits the fire alarm or whatever.
Which really abused. I mean, I don't know any personally, but if I'm an elevator repair person, I will say, just as a public service, don't abuse that button.
Yeah.
That's a very specific button for emergencies.
Absolutely.
It's not for you to make out with someone.
Right. Or change your clothes or do anything else.
Oh, he dips into Christie's office. This is what I had. So Brantley, like during this whole time, he's kind of becoming known. Whitfield is kind of becoming known a little bit as he's like doing stuff. People know who he is. They mention his name and everything. And Howard hasn't met him yet.
Right.
And every time Howard is around, Brantley's got to duck out.
Right.
And he ends up
he just ducks into an office.
And it's Christie. And Christie is just like the coldest but wittiest person. Like her like witty banter with him. But then she's saying these like snappy retorts to whatever he's saying, and he's acting like she's dissing him. I'm like, she's kind of playing with you, dude. She's engaging with you. She's not just saying get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of is eventually, at least saying just get out of here.
Eventually does, but
it's clear that sarcasm as a humor form, and I think very specifically sarcasm from women, was just not as accepted at the time. I think that's really us looking back at. That's a good point. We're in a post Broad City comedy world these days, right? There's this attractiveness of sarcasm in women. I think personally, I mean, my wife's a very sarcastic sense of humor, but I think that that's something that, like, if you go back 40 years, there just weren't. There wasn't as much acceptance of first of all, of women being funny. People just didn't think women were funny, which was incorrect, but it was the sort of like default position most people took. And then like sarcasm in general as humor, like wasn't really, I think it was just seen as putting up your guard, putting up barriers.
Or just being like a cold fish or whatever they would, probably describe her as. Yeah, that makes sense. So in Carlton / Brantley, I think we get a good, montage of him walking on sunshine playing as he's kind of settling into his new position. He's making his calls and he's switching back and forth to the mailroom thing. Making deliveries and then switching into a suit again and going back and forth. Yeah. Making every one of his motions look extra like 80s cool guy is so funny. The way he's dipping in around corners like, hey, what's up? He would never put a peanut into his mouth. He'd have to throw it in the air and catch it in his mouth. Yeah. This feels very much like, this is Marty McFly on the skateboard holding onto the back of the truck. I mean, for sure. That's the style, Yeah. But yeah, so then we get a scene back at his apartment. He's brought home a bunch of stuff. He's still doing research, still doing, all this kind of like work for work. But his neighbors, and this was, I thought, was the most unnecessary little scene, but his neighbors are having sex and they're banging up against the wall, which is moving his bed and everything. And he gets a soda or beer or whatever out of the fridge and starts like conducting them like a conductor. And then, as they climax, he opens the beer and it like sprays everywhere. And it's like, that gave us nothing. There's nothing about that, because in the very next scene, he's laying in bed and they wake him up with their lovemaking. And so it's like, that's all that was necessary to make that joke work. I thought, they probably thought that would just be a funny bit. I will say, somebody watching this with his 13-year-old daughter, I definitely had to do a lot of throat clearing and like subject changing and, bring a dish that's not dirty into the kitchen just to leave the room. Nice. So that's what that did for me. That's good. That's good stuff. And that's when I remember that being really funny, because you don't see that in a lot of movies. And we had a similar couple in a hotel room next to us a few weeks ago, and I wish that I'd seen this movie, because I certainly would have done that. It would have enhanced the uncomfortableness of like, oh my God, what are these walls made of? It's like tissue paper. Will this guy stop? He's really making me look bad. So, but immediately after that sequence, Brantley's in bed, asleep ostensibly. He's woken up by his neighbors beginning to have sex again. And then there's a knock at his door, or the little buzzer or something. And it's Vera. And he's like, are you kidding me? But she comes in. They clearly spend the night together. And then, he moves on to the next day and goes back to work, at which point, I believe we see Christie and Howard chatting. And it's clear that Howard and Christie are in a relationship together now. This has been made clear to us just in their conversation. I don't know if it had been before that or not. But, he basically like invites her to lunch. Right. And so they go to a nice restaurant. This is another sequence where there's, again, a mirror, and we're like seeing one person in the mirror and seeing the other person sitting. I think Christie's sitting in the banquette, and the mirror above and behind her, we see Howard in as
they're chatting. And it's just, I actually really like the framing the shots that way. And it was sort of like, I didn't really realize until I was like looking back through my notes that they really do that a few times in the movie. And it's kind of a fun thing. But basically, Christie mentions to Howard that there was a dissenting opinion when she presented the idea of cutting, these offices in the Midwest. They're talking about cutting in order to like raise capital to fend off the hostile takeover. She said a dissenting voice was heard and that it was Carlton Whitfield. And this is a name that, Howard has never heard. He's like, who's Carlton Whitfield?
Yeah.
Like, oh, new executive. And he goes, oh, it might be a plant from Davenport here to gain, to gather information. And it's like, how the fuck does somebody plant somebody in your company, dude? Like, you have to like hire people. Like, it's just so bizarre, like that any of this even happens, but that's okay. He basically says, I want you to stay close to him, find out what you can find out, steal notes from him or something or whatever. Like he basically asks her to spy on him. And she kind of reluctantly, but does agree, to do so.
Yeah, so she's going to stay on Whitfield, which is just Whitfield / Brantley / Foster. Michael J. fucking Fox, all right, if you're not following that. And which is exactly what he wants, so it's kind of easy for her to do.
Yeah.
And we get some scenes, I think, of him doing the quick change, back and forth in the elevator now.
Right.
And he'll stop the elevator. I don't understand. He goes all the way down to the socks.
Yeah.
I'd be like, dude, you can keep the same lower body, just put a sweater on. Like, you can make it so much simpler, but he changes his like shirt, undershirt.
But I think they really he had to wear a full suit and tie as an executive and couldn't wear any piece of a suit or tie for mailroom because it would have been suspicious.
That guy will smell the suit on you.
Exactly,
He's even 1% of a suit counts as a suit. The elevator maintenance guy is very frustrated by this, and he keeps having to come and see it. And you saw who the elevator maintenance guy was.
Ding, 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 ding.
Hector Salamanca, a.k.a. Mr. Shikadance from Ace Ventura. Ace Ventura's landlord as well. So also, I like seeing him in this stuff.
Already looking like he's 60 years old. Like, I mean, this was like 30 years
He
before
had a
Breaking
Leslie
Bad.
Nielsen type age plateau, I think, where he just stayed like 60 for 35 years. So this was a scene that cracked me up, and I remembered this a lot from when I first saw it. So these different scenes where he's going in the elevator, stopping the elevator and changing. And one of the times the maintenance guy is able to get the elevator going. So it starts again and he's mid change and he's just fully naked. And you wonder, how are they going to deal with this? Is he going to disappear through that very easy to access thing through the top of the elevator, which is the easiest thing to get through according to all other fiction. But instead he's just fully like he's wearing just a tie and underwear, I think.
Yeah, tie and boxers.
And the elevator opens and he just goes into like a flexing pose. And the funniest part of it is doing this like slight turn back and forth and doesn't say anything.
Well, no, then he ends up, it's Gene, his secretary is over the answers, or is at the elevator, and he goes, Gene, could you take these to like dry cleaning for me or something? Like, get these dry cleaning for me, throws something at her and moves on with the elevator door closing. But yeah.
So good.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, so we get a couple, we've seen a few of this executive leadership team, and there are so many people on this group of executives that are recognizable character actors, right?
Yep.
So one of them, the sort of main guy of, that would be right-hand man to Howard is obviously Uncle Frank from Home Alone, right? But the tall guy who they refer to as Ron a couple of times, that is the actor that played Dauber on Coach, which I found out in looking that up. He's also the voice of Patrick in like every SpongeBob SquarePants thing ever. I had no idea that was, my kids are so into SpongeBob. So I had no idea that Dauber was the voice of Patrick, because we used to call my son Dauber because when he was about 18 months old, when kids hit that 18 months to 2 years, there's like an awkwardness to little kids. The way his hair looked at that time, we thought looked like Dauber, where it was like thin, but like long, you know what I mean? It's a little funky because he was 18 months old and everybody looks funky at 18 months. But so great. Just weird little circular thing there. But yeah, so we get now where Christie and Brantley are, talking in his office. Basically, she says, you're wrong, but convince me that you're right. Like he says he wants to expand, that's the way to like bolster the company and make it too valuable to have a hostile takeover. And she said, but Prescott wants us to cut. So that's what we have to do. Yeah. So he's basically, they're chatting for a while. She ends up like slinking into the couch like she's about to faint and says, "Oh, my blood sugar's low. I need food." But like also, it was a very strange choice by the actress, frankly. Yeah. But they go to heaven. They go to paradise in order to eat because they go to a place. It's clearly a bar with a waitress that you can order food from and just a bowl of bagels on the table just for munching. Where is this glorious place? What is this? I have never seen anything like this in my life.
You never see the bagel bowl before?
it's so amazing. And they actually, when they come out at the end of the scene, it says "Locks Around the Clock" is the name of the place, which is fantastic. But yeah, an all-night bagel bar. Yes, I'm in.
It is funny. Like if it didn't have that part where it shows you the name of the restaurant and kind of the joke about that, it's almost as if you had AI come up with like what would be in a bowl at a New York bar for a snack.
It's 3 a.m. So it's still, you can still buy booze. So the bar is open.
All bagels.
It's New York City. It's Manhattan. What's on the table? It can't be rolls. It's got to be bagels, right? So
it is. So Christie's level of experience, I would assume she's at least as educated as Brantley,
right?
Plus has multiple years of experience in this business.
Here's my guess. She's about 26 or 27.
Okay.
I don't think we get her age at any point, but that's like my guess. So a little older than Brantley, but just a couple of years. We heard she went to Harvard. Melrose knows that and says that she went to Harvard. So let's assume for a second that's Harvard MBA.
Yeah.
Right. So if she's 3 to 4 years removed from earning her Harvard MBA, she probably got into an executive training program straight out of school. She would have interned while at Harvard at major companies in Boston or New York City, like over the summer and stuff. Whereas Brantley going to Kansas State just didn't have that kind of opportunity for internship. And I think that's where she is separated and is able to earn that position like rightfully and not have to trick her way into it the way Brantley does. That she actually has that job is probably because she is some kind of, they say Melrose calls her like a math genius or finance genius or something like that. Fine. But just the idea of like, if you go to Harvard for your undergrad and your MBA and you're doing summer internships all the time, right, in New York City or in Boston, like it's going to pan out for you. You know what I mean? Like that's the way you write your ticket. Brantley was in Kansas, going to Kansas State and just doing
becoming a farm genius.
Right. Exactly. So,
but it's kind of like a bad lesson in the movie is like probably the most qualified woman that in that position. And then Brantley's like, nah, dummy, this is how you do it. Hey, I read this on my only spring, no mattress, no fabric, just a spring that I sleep on.
But before we leave the bagel bar real quick, the waitress, did you recognize the waitress? That was Academy Award winning actress Mercedes Ruehl, who also played Mrs. Baskin, Tom Hanks's mom in Big.
Oh my God.
And she also had a short role on Frasier and stuff like that. But yeah, she like won an Academy Award like 3 years after this movie.
Wow.
For she won a Best Supporting Actress Award for The Fisher King. Is what she won. But yeah, so she would go on to win an Academy Award, and she also starred in one of the most beloved movies of the 80s in Big. Well, not starred, I guess she was a supporting role in that.
But she's a part of it.
Exactly. So I thought that was a funny poll. I was like, oh my God, is that? I was like, is that Mrs. Baskin?
Yeah.
Sure enough.
I did write down that the date scene, I didn't time it or anything, but I just wrote down boring date scene. I feel like it dragged, and this isn't this is not an 80-something minute movie. No. This is like 111 or something like that.
It's 101, I think, yeah. But,
that you could trim it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
It's definitely...
Let's have just the bagels.
Yeah. Although, you know what? It is 111. I said 101 earlier. I think I did the math wrong. It is 111 minutes. But this is, and especially when you compare it to the wonderful date montage in The Naked Gun, which we did a couple weeks ago. That was,
exactly.
But yeah, they end up like on a 3-masted sailing ship, but then also on a ferry at some point. I have no clue what's happening, but they're basically falling for each other. Well, she's falling for him. He's already in love. But, she's falling for him. They end up kissing, but she admits, I'm seeing someone, I'm dating a married man from work, and he of course does not admit, because he even goes to say, well, I would never. It's like, dude, you've banged a married woman you're actually related to twice already. Mm-hmm. So don't act like you're Mother Teresa or like doing all the right things or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically this is their we've fallen in love. Not even a montage. You're right. There's a scene, kind of goes on kind of long. It's on some kind of a weird boat. But
and that ferry seems like, I've seen that in other fiction. It seems so easy to get that whole thing to yourself.
Yeah. Or at least, maybe if you're just off hours, right? You're doing it in the middle of the day. You can find a corner somewhere, I guess. But yeah, maybe they're big. I have personally not ridden a lot of ferries in my day. And there actually are quite a few of them here in the Bay Area. And I've never really done it. Like
Alameda Ferry to the city, to the Giants game, to the Warrior game. It's beautiful.
I should do that.
And then Howard has told Christie that I want to be with you. I'm getting divorced.
Right.
So that's happening as well.
She tells him, I want to break up. Like she basically says, like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't want to be your
I'm not going to,
mistress.
We need to be just, colleagues and like nothing else, whatever. And he goes, oh, the timing's so ironic because I was about to, I'm going to tell Vera that I'm leaving her, whatever, which is still not the same as like having done it. He's still saying, I'm going to do it.
Right.
But then she, I don't even think at this point she really acquiesces. She sort of just like says, well, okay, you know, it's too bad. Like, I'm done. I think, you know, she still basically like sticks to her guns and tells him that she's done, which is great. Good for her. Like,
he's not a man to be told no, though. He's probably kind of like, okay, whatever. Yeah, we're still together.
He's a complete slime ball.
I disagree.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I do not accept.
So Howard almost catches Brantley at some point where he sees him in the suit.
Yes.
And, you know, there's this chase scene going through the office where he's got a...
Well, that's it. Yeah, the boss. Yeah, sorry. Yes, his boss, Radigan or whatever, catches him. But
that's the guy, right?
Yeah, that's the guy, catches him and sees him in the suit and like chases him around. And so he's got to he runs past Melrose, who actually like nearly kills his boss.
Dude, okay, I just wrote devastating hose trip. So he's like running down these stairwells and stuff. And Melrose like throws like a big hose out.
Well, it's like there's somebody. I think what it is it's maybe an electrical cord. There's somebody like waxing floors.
Okay,
right. And then it's like he like takes his foot under the electrical cord and raises it. So now the cord is up at like shin height, right at the top of the stairs. And Radigan goes
like four guys get affected by that. Oh my god!
People just get the waxing machine gets pulled.
Crazy.
Like everything.
I will say though, for a movie like this that features the floor buffing machine, to have the discipline to not have the scene where someone does it and like gets carried away by it is incredible. So I really commend the filmmakers here.
The movie is so grounded in realism. Yeah. And there's so little fantasy to it. You know, it's very important that we keep this cinema verite. But then when he gets away from Radigan, he runs into his office.
Yes. Whitfield's office.
Yeah.
It looks like a second grade classroom. I don't understand the walls of his office. It is crazy, right?
He's got all these like butcher paper sheets. He's big, like they come off the roll, you know, that he's like, but he hasn't just like put up charts and stuff. He's like drawn little cars and little
colored
trucks.
In and
it's like, how many trucks do we have in Vermont? We have 4. Draw 4 trucks and color them in. It's like so bizarre. Yeah.
It's like if a kid tried to design their dad's office in Minecraft, and that's the stuff they would put on the wall. To be like, this looks like office stuff.
And then Howard he's like, so basically after Brantley gets away from Radigan, he runs to his office. Obviously, it's Carlton's office. It's the nameplate. Howard's in there because he's snooping on Whitfield. And he says, like, what is all this stuff? Like, what even is this? And he runs the company. So like, if he's like bewildered by it, you know, it's interesting. But basically, he comes in. So now Howard knows Brantley as Brantley, but is like, why are you wearing a suit? That's so weird. And he goes, a friend. He died. We buried him. It's like, okay. So, I mean, that's a reasonable excuse, I guess. But then Howard hands a bunch of the technically Whitfield's notes or whatever to Brantley and says, take these up to my office. Right. Cause he's like, these are Whitfield's, taking them. Do you know Whitfield? Oh, I've seen him around, like good guy or whatever, you know? So he goes up to Howard's office, and who's there? Vera's there. Of course, she ostensibly is coming to have lunch with Howard, but Brantley gets there first and is once again sexually assaulted by the wife of the CEO.
I mean, we got to say, Brantley, give her what she wants. I mean, just treat Vera like she's a black bear attacking you, and just play down, and whatever happens, just let it happen. Yeah, she's chasing him around, and they get walked in on. It is funny how clueless Uncle Howard is, right?
He's an idiot.
They get walked in. They are done because he's like in her arms on the couch.
She's like on top of him. His shirt's like his jacket's off and his suspenders are pulled down, and she's literally like straddling him, like laying on him, and they sort of like,
she says he fainted.
Right. And then whatever. And then he goes, I got to go to a funeral. And Howard's like, didn't you already go? Like, oh, fuck, I used the same excuse twice.
Grief. Yeah.
But basically Howard tells Vera, like, I can't do lunch today. I'm busy, whatever. Or I already had my lunch, or whatever. But that's when he basically keeps, he basically talks to Brantley. He's like, hey, like, come eat with me. Like, let's chat with me, or whatever. And so Brantley ends up having food with Howard. Right. And it's the most bizarre plate of food I've ever seen.
Okay. Yes, exactly.
It's all vegetables. I wrote down, it looked like there was broccoli, asparagus, 2 little half eggplants, I think, carrots, bean sprouts, and baby corn. Like, there's maybe 100 calories on that whole plate. And it's bizarre.
Try eating a raw eggplant. Listeners, please pause this, drive to the nearest grocery, and just take a chomp out of an eggplant.
Don't do that.
And, I mean, it's the most baffling thing. Visually, certainly looks like food. Again, this is just like the AI generated plate of food.
Yes, exactly. It's like, we need a plate of vegetables in the California cuisine style.
Yeah.
This is what it would generate.
I want to rewatch and see all the other food because we got a couple weird plates. We got the bagel bowl and we got the crudité.
Whatever it is. It's not even crudité. It's like a deconstructed pasta primavera with no pasta or something. Like,
so do you think that was kind of a joke about like the Howard character and like, you know, we all just eat vegetables, like we're not going to eat crap while we're here, like the healthy like image
I think it was another class signifier. So I think it's another like 1980s, like this is how we indicate that this person is an upper crusty, out of touch, wealthy person, is that this is their food. It felt very, if you think back to the kind of food that would be featured in American Psycho. Like whenever Patrick Bateman would go out to restaurants, right? It was always these tiny little plates and it was all very fancy, but like, you know, very, very full of itself, sort of very self-important plates of food. And I think that was sort of the indicator. Or like, I love in Scrooged, the guy from California orders the California plate or whatever. And it's like just crappy, barely steamed vegetables, you know, and it's the same kind of idea. So I think that was really more of just like a class indicator than anything specific about Howard. But it's funny because he takes a bite or two, I think, but Brantley really just plays with the food on his fork.
I don't know how you go about eating that. And is there a ranch? Like what's going on here?
No, it looked like maybe the carrots had some kind of glaze on them or some kind of had been drizzled in some oil or something. But it was basically a plate full of raw vegetables.
Very bizarre looking meal though. I agree. And so kind of the point of what Howard wants him there for is he wants Brantley now to watch Vera at the party.
Right.
So that he can spend time with Christie.
He needs to win Christie back.
Yeah.
And so they're basically, he's inviting, let's make
he's
this
like,
clear.
distract my wife so I can win my mistress back at the party that everyone's at.
Yeah. And it's the reason they're all going to the house over the weekend is that basically Davenport has called a board meeting for Monday. Basically, it sounds like to you know, offer like a vote of no confidence in leadership and like a hostile takeover, right? Like a merger, a forced merger. So Howard wants to get all of the executive leadership team together at his house over the weekend to like go over all the details, like make sure they're prepared for that meeting. They know what they're going to say or whatever, which is actually like a reasonably good plan. And frankly, do an on-site together and like figure it all out. Right. But that means Christie will be there. Obviously Vera lives there. So she's there with him. He wants to also take the opportunity over the weekend to rekindle with Christie and like, kind of save their affair that they're having. So he needs Vera to be distracted. And it was after the Vera and Brantley interaction in Howard's office that Howard realized, oh, your Aunt Vera is really taking a shine to you, you know?
Right.
And he basically is saying like, could you fuck my wife for the weekend so that I could fuck my mistress?
Right.
Like,
and that's how little he cares too. Cause even if it came down to it, he would say exactly that. Cause he's just like, I don't.
Yeah. And so, so then we get to Litchfield.
So we're at the party. Right? Yeah. And Vera actually is very cool with Brantley. Like since he's kind of talked to her previously about his dreams and his aspirations and stuff, and she knows what an obstacle her husband is to all this stuff. She's like, oh, like I'll introduce you to all these guys. So she's like, oh, here's fucking this evil piece of shit. And here's this demon. And here's this fucking lizard person. And she goes around and is able to introduce him to all these important men.
Yeah. It was funny though, because especially after that explanation that you just gave of the scene, very, very apt description of all of the reality going on. But growing up, despite all of the like sex and everything else in this movie, this to me was the biggest fantasy, was that someone with connections like this would basically introduce you directly to power brokers.
Yeah.
Right. To me, this was the fantasy scene. This was the thing that I was like, oh man, that would be fucking awesome if you could just meet all these like rich people and they liked you, you know, kind of thing. Obviously, I didn't understand at the time, you know, what you have to do to your humanity to gain the amount of money that these people clearly had.
Right.
It's not something I would be up for. But, you know, at the time I was kind of like, dude, this is how you make it, man. You got to find an old lady to bang who knows rich people.
Yeah. You got to meet the important guys. Yeah. And at the age I first saw this movie, I would have thought the most important guys were like the game developers who put themselves into NBA Jam if you had a certain code. Like, oh, if I could ever meet this guy who works at Midway, then I'd make it to the top.
Made in the shade, man.
So she goes around and she's introducing Brantley to all these guys, and we get kind of a montage.
Another montage interlude. Yep.
Brantley like basically talking to like, you know, Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and all these guys in a gazebo, and he's breaking down economics
who knows
he learned, whatever he's saying
at the Wall Street Journal. And
I like that one of the guys was holding the Wall Street Journal at the party when they walked up to him. It's like, we know where we are. Like if you need an extra like arrow pointing to what this guy is at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really love that everyone's just like gathered around the gazebo and they can't get enough of Brantley just yapping about.
And there's a moment in here where so Christie and Brantley are hanging out together because of course Christie's not here for Howard. Like she's here to do the work, but she's interested in Brantley. She's not interested in Howard. Or excuse me, she's interested in Whitfield. Right? That's how she knows him, but she doesn't care about Howard. But then someone else is like, "Have you seen Whitfield? Oh, he's over there talking to Christie." Someone says to Howard, so he comes over, and in a moment that could have saved a lot of time, where he could have just said, "Brantley, have you seen Whitfield?" Like that's all he would have had to say. Yeah. But instead he pulls Brantley away from Christie without referring to him by name, and in secret talks to him about like, "Whitfield's here. Somebody saw him with Christie. You've got to stay with Christie and keep Whitfield away from her." And it's like literally impossible, but also you just gave him carte blanche to now spend time with her, which is weird. And originally he wanted to spend time with Christie, but whatever. Like, so now he needs Brantley to stay with Christie, which of course surprises her. And he comments about like, "Oh yeah, he's a really understanding guy. He's really cool," or whatever, So there's that. And it's like, I thought about when I saw this, I'm like, so this could have like ended the movie at this point. The movie could be over if he had just said, "Hey Brantley, have you seen Whitfield?" And someone said he was over here. That's all it
just approached so poorly. I don't know exactly where this happened, but my next note, which is just a one-off, there was this lamp somewhere. I think it might have been next to Brantley's bed. Okay. And it's like a deer foot, like deer hoofs are the base of the lamp. Like there's 4 deer hooves. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
I missed that. I'll have to go back and watch it. But the room he's staying in clearly is like hunting themed. There's like a deer head on the wall, like a trophy, and there's like a pictures on the wall of like hunts and stuff. So I mean, clearly it's a hunting lodge themed, guest room that he's in. This actually is a sequence that I forgot about when I started watching the movie this week. It's a very classic French bedroom scene, or sometimes called a door play, right, where people are going in and out of these different rooms looking for the people.
The name for it?
French bedroom farce. Yeah. French
I always call it Scooby-Doo doors. I'm glad I know.
That's
French bedrooms.
Yeah, that's and then in theater we'll call it a door play.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's people coming out, both Vera and Howard pretending that they're asleep so that one of them leaves and the other one does because they want to go find respectively Christie and Brantley to have sex with them.
Yes.
But then Christie and Brantley have both left to find each other, and there's just all this action going on, this way, that way, whatever. While again, Yellow, by Yellow plays over all this happening. At one point, Christie has to duck into a room that she doesn't realize apparently is occupied. And Frank is, or not, well, it's Uncle Frank
from
Art.
Home Alone.
Yeah. Art is the character, but Uncle Frank is there and he thinks he's about to get lucky. So he gets up and sidles over to her, and then she like leaves and slams the door on his hand, which he doesn't like shriek or anything.
No.
He's perfectly silent, but apparently hurt him. Anyway, so there's all this happens.
He's so presumptive. Like she doesn't come into his room in any kind of way. It's just like a person is clearly just hiding in here. She wasn't facing him.
No, she's facing the door. She's clearly listening to like hear what's happening outside the door. And yet he's like,
and then he's part of the entire fucking 9-minute montage of this bullshit that could have lasted like a minute. I was like, all right, we can't say shit about the fight scene and They Live after this scene here. This is too much.
Fair pool. Okay, that's fair. Anyway, so let's get to the end here. Yeah. So what happens is Brantley ends up in Christie's room, where peeking out of her bag are the notes that she stole from him, gave to Howard, in which he returned to her at the party for some reason.
Right.
So she has them with her. So he sees them and is like, "What the fuck? She stole from me." So he has locked the door and is looking through the notes. Howard tries to open the door to get in because he thinks Christie's in there, but the door's locked. So he goes down to the basement to get the like skeleton key or whatever, or the key for the room, comes back, unlocks it. Brantley jumps into bed, at which point Howard just climbs into bed to like, "Oh baby, I'm gonna leave my wife," like all this stuff, whatever. And eventually Brantley, is like, "Oh, it's me, you asshole," or whatever. Christie comes in, light turns on. I think Vera comes in. Like, basically everybody confronts everybody, and there's the whole, this isn't Brantley, this is Whitfield. No, this is Whitfield, this is Brantley. And he even says Brantley is Whitfield, Whitfield is Brantley.
So Finkel is Einhorn kind of situation going on.
So everybody is now in the know as to what happened, which of course results in Brantley being fired, Christie being fired, and Howard, sort of trying to sweep all this under the rug, I guess, right? So cut now to Monday morning, back at the Pemrose offices.
Yep.
We get a quick clip of the board meeting. Donald Davenport has called this board meeting to have a hostile takeover Pemrose, played by one of the greatest voices of all time, and Fred Gwynn. Is the character, the actor,
all-timer.
I mean, just absolute amazing voice. Another My Cousin Vinny reference as well, by the way, since he played Judge Chamberlain Holla. Oh my God, we're gonna have to do My Cousin Vinny at some point.
What is a ute?
Oh, did you say utes? Anyway, Fred Gwynn is Donald Davenport, fantastic.
Yep.
And so they say, I love this line, we understand you'll want to bring in some of your own people for middle management, but, we're really concerned about the upper management. And he says, well, a lot of them will have to go, of course. And everybody kind of gets tense. He goes, but some of them, such as yourselves, who've been so helpful, will be staying as long as you like. Yeah. And that's, of course, the green light they all need to say, okay, cool, our jobs are safe.
They're like, good, we're fine with this
Let's
deal.
do this.
Yep.
I think I jumped around a little bit, but like Christie and Brantley, they don't really explain this, but they're like fighting because they're yelling at each other.
Yeah.
She stole from him for Howard. He lied to her about his name, right? They've got good reason to be pissed at each other, but they end up in an elevator together, both leaving. And when the elevator gets to the bottom, they're making out.
I don't get this elevator. It's like the phone booth from Bill and Ted. It just has like magic powers. It'll turn you from a mailroom guy into an executive. And yeah. I didn't get that, but I think even as they were making the movie, they're like, all right, let's just fucking wrap it up.
Yeah,
we get towards the end here. Yeah, so we're in this meeting now, and this hostile takeover is going to happen. Everyone's basically going to lose their job,
right?
And then Brantley comes
right.
in.
So we've seen what we saw was Brantley and Christie kind of go back upstairs and get Gene and Melrose and like, hey, we need to make some phone calls. We need some stuff. Like, don't leave yet. Like hold on a second. And basically what it is they come in, Brantley and Christie especially come in, and Howard's like, oh, who are you? You got to get out of here. Like you're fired. Whatever. And he basically says like, no. Like we've got a plan. We're going to buy you out, Davenport. Like basically it's like, what are you talking about? Howard Prescott, who are these people? Whatever. And there's a line I love at first where it's like Howard looks at Brand and he goes, who's going to listen to some kid who used to work in our mailroom? And he goes, yeah, nobody at first, Howie. He calls him Howie, which is great. But yeah, sure enough, the billionaire, lizard people from the party over the weekend and Vera come in, and it's like, this is the financial backing, right? To sort of,
so we have
take over.
Enough money to make this work.
Exactly. They've got the shares. Vera has 50.1% of shares in the company, so she can essentially do almost whatever she wants as far as that goes. And then these other guys, right, are there as financial backing as well. And so Vera fires Howard and apparently installs Brantley, who is 24 years old and fresh out of business school.
Everyone would be so mad.
As the CEO. Not Christie, the Harvard-educated executive who's been there for years. The guy who was in the mailroom and lied his way into the executive washroom. He gets to be CEO or chairman or whatever the hell he is. Actually, no, she's chairperson, right? They refer to the new chairperson of the Pemrose board, Vera Prescott.
So yeah, Vera is basically the biggest girl boss in the whole movie, and her big move is to hire some unqualified like Nepo baby, basically.
Exactly.
So
because she banged him, and they're slightly related, and you know what I mean? Like that's it. But yeah, that's pretty much the movie.
Yeah, and then we kind of get like Vera ends up hooking up with Melrose, and Brantley is hooked up with Christie.
Right.
There's a great scene of just showing that they are in fact rich because they're in tuxedos and they take a limo to the opera.
That's right.
So they go to the limo. There's a whole lot of making out in this movie.
Yep.
Again, during one of the making out scenes in this, my daughter just says, I'm just going to poof out of existence now. So that was like her final thought on this movie. But yeah, I think that wraps up the story. Yeah. So the good guys saved the day. We saved a lot of jobs. The bad guys were punished. And, I'm sure this new gang of investors in this company are not going to cut a single job. They're not looking out for their bottom line. They just want to help out this kid who's got a lot of pluck and moxie.
That's definitely not business as usual here at Pemrose Corporation any longer.
So that's the secret of my success.
That is indeed. So, maybe this was your pick. Maybe I'll do mine first real quick and say through. Look, I love this movie, but I am 100% after rewatching it again on board with the idea that I love this movie because I have nostalgia for this movie. It is a passable romantic comedy. It has some really funny lines and a couple of very memorable scenes as sort of a drama head, a theater kid from way back. I love the French bedroom farce scene. It's very, it's really rooted in theater. So I love that kind of stuff. But yeah, like I love this movie and I'm not going to be ashamed to say that I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. What I will say is you can't necessarily
results
trust
may
me.
vary.
Yeah, results may vary. I am a 4 out of 5 because I love this movie. I can't justify giving it a 5 out of 5, but like I kind of wanted to.
Hey.
But yeah, so I'm 4 out of 5 on Secret of My Success. It's a ton of fun. There's a lot of 80s in this movie, and it's just a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And I think the soundtrack is great. Like I honestly really enjoy 80s power ballads, and that's the majority of the songs in the soundtrack.
Yeah, no, hey, I am I support your rating, and I get the nostalgia bump. I thought I would like this a lot more. When I think of the Mandela effect, I think of, didn't Berenstain Bears used to be spelled differently, and wasn't stovetop stuffing made by Stofers and not Kraft? And now one of my Mandela effect things is, wasn't Secret of My Success good? And for some reason, it just it didn't work for me. I think there were certainly very funny parts, but I think as a movie, I didn't like the Christie actress. I didn't think she was that good. I liked Melrose. I wish it was kind of more of a buddy style thing with him.
That could have been fun.
Vera was good. It just didn't really work that much for me.
Yeah.
And I think, the Mandela effect thing is certainly real, which is why the deep state has kept sending fire trucks by our recording today. So many
of course, I'll be editing all those out so nobody actually will hear those.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are fire trucks on the recording. We're missing a minute. So yeah, I'll say about this movie, I love MJ Fox, and his charisma can really carry anything. And I think his charisma was doing a whole lot of work in this, but the best I'm able to give you on this movie is a 2 out of 5. I think if you haven't seen it, it's worth flipping on. You're not going to hate it.
Right.
It's just, if you're trying to do your first Michael J. Fox movie of a podcast about 80s and 90s movies, maybe that's a swing and a miss from me.
That's okay. Look, we all know at some point we're going to do Back to the Future, but we don't want to hit all the greats early. At some point, like listener, at some point we're going to do Beverly Hills Cop. We're going to do The Goonies. We're going to do Home Alone. We're going to do Die Hard. We're going to do these movies that are classics of the era that everybody wants to, think about and remember, and they watch over and over again. We're not going to start with those.
Yeah,
we got to ease into it. You know what I mean? So
sprinkle them in.
Maybe we could have gone Doc Hollywood instead of Secret of My Success. I don't know, but anyway, that's a 6 out of 10. So that's
this was a fun one to talk about, though, and I think the edge of the PG. It's very interesting to watch movies that are kind of at the cusp of their rating. Yeah. To see what might have pushed it over and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's worth a watch. I think Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb are about on this one. We're pretty much in line with this. Yeah, because it was like a 6.9 IMDb, 46 or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes, and we're right in between those two at a 6 out of 10. So yeah, I think that's appropriate and cool. And all right, well, I guess it's time for me to. Yeah, you're next, Steve. What do we have coming up?
So we're going to do something a little different from this. We're staying in the comedy realm, but definitely different genre of comedy. And I think we're going to go back to something we've done a couple times recently. A couple weeks ago or last month, we did Happy Gilmore right before Happy Gilmore 2 came out. Yeah. We did The Naked Gun right before the new Naked Gun with Liam Neeson came out. We got another one where there's a sequel coming, a sort of resurrection sequel. All right. So this movie came out in 1984, and it invented a genre of comedies. It was basically the world's first, as far as I can tell, the world's first mockumentary. Nice. So it's a fictional movie about a fictional group of people set up as a documentary style movie. So this one stars Rob Reiner, Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer as UK's darkest heavy metal band, Spinal Tap. So we're going to watch. This is Spinal Tap. Fantastic. Again, invented the mockumentary style and was really, really ahead of its time. And I think it'll be fun to look back because in a couple weeks after that movie, after that episode drops, Spinal Tap 2 comes out, which actually features all the same actors. They're all alive. The simple fact that Rob Reiner, Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer are all alive is crazy. So it'll be fun to see. I think it'll be fun to revisit this one and to then look forward and look ahead at what the sequel might bring us. Okay, awesome. I'm excited about this one. I think I've only seen it one time. Oh, nice. So I'm very much looking forward to revisiting it. Very cool. All right. Well, if you liked what you heard, folks out there, go to Apple, give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it. You can go to Spotify, do the same thing. It just really helps people find the show when we get good ratings. If you want to send us an email, and a few of you have been doing this and suggesting films, and we respond to everybody, and we take every piece of criticism and suggestion into account. You can do that at theshow@twodads1movie.com. That's the number 2 and the number 1. This has been Two Dads One Movie. This has been The Secret of My Success, and I'm Steve, and I'm Nick, and we'll talk to you next week when we watch This Is Spinal Tap. Thanks, everyone.